Sales needs to be a very inclusive place. Why not? There's no reason for it not to be. Women excel in sales, and we want them to. They can earn a great living. They become tremendous leaders. They're excellent team members. They lift the whole entire organization up. And we really have to continue to strive to do that. You get to support that too if you become a sponsor of the show.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there are women that will go into sales, but they don't feel 100% comfortable. They get microaggressions and they don't want to be in often a very male majority place where some feel their voice is not being heard. Some feel they're passed over for promotions. Some feel their ideas have been taken. And these are things that have gone on for years. And
this is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast launched by Barb Giammanco and now hosted by Lori Richardson. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider or continue a sales career, and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we need your support and appreciate your allyship. Now here's our host, Lori Richardson.
this episode is sponsored by Cox Business. As part of the Cox family of companies, Cox Business helps companies adopt technologies that deliver mobility, scalability, and growth. With our internet and networking solutions, combined with our dedication to the next generation of cloud and connected technologies, we're changing the way we do business, and we're now hiring sales professionals to join our team. As part of the Cox family of companies, we offer best-in-class benefits, a commitment to work-life balance, an award-winning workplace experience, and top-notch rewards and recognition for our sales teams. Connect to work that improves lives, including yours. To learn more, visit coxbusinessjobs.com today. I'm so excited. I'm here today with my good friend, Alice Heiman, and we're going to celebrate Conversations with Women in Sales 200th episode. Wow. I know. I thought this day would never happen, but it's here.
Oh, I'm excited, Lori. I'm so excited to talk to all the listeners about how this all came about and really make this a true celebration in so many ways.
Yeah, and if anyone has been under a rock and you don't know who Alice is, a chief sales energizer, and she's also a podcast host herself. She runs a fantastic podcast called Sales Talk for CEOs. So should be sure and check that out as well. And she's a good friend. And I just wanted someone here to talk this through to really celebrate how far we've come and honor the memory of Barb Giammanco, who started this back in 2018. I couldn't believe that until when
I couldn't either. When you sent me that email and said, listen to yourself with Barb in 20, and I was shocked. Truly, that was a long time ago because we were just looking up before the show. Like, when did podcasting really become popular? It was really only in 2004, but it didn't really become popular until 2014, right? It started with seen, but hardly anybody was listening, right?
Yeah.
In 2004. But 2014, and Barb is just 4 years later. And the other thing that's remarkable, Lori, is that she was one of the first women podcasting and really making a mark, let alone that her topic of women in sales, she was the only one out there doing it.
Yeah, she was the first. And I remember when she talked to me about wanting to launch the podcast, and I said, go for it, Barb. You can do it. She was very passionate about supporting the idea of getting more women into sales and making sales a more inclusive place. And she had a really great way of interviewing people. And I want to encourage people to go back and look and listen. I listened to your episode also, and it's really good and it's current. It's evergreen. What you guys talked about was
Really.
very, very apropos for 2025.
I couldn't believe it either when I listened to her. It's like, "Oh my gosh, I could have been saying that today, and it would have been exactly the same." But the thing that is so remarkable, there's so many things, right? First, she was one of the first, right? She was really paving the way and lifting women up in sales, and it was so important to her. And then she started the podcast, right? And when it was still made of most still podcasting. You guys were
Yeah.
listening. We were podcasting. She was.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, she is such a great interviewer, Lori. She asks great questions. She keeps the conversation flowing. Even her voice, she just has a remarkable voice.
Yeah, and she did a lot of research, and I would admit that she did more research than I probably do. But she did a really great job, and then we lost her in May of 2020, and
Sadly,
and
sadly.
and I didn't want the podcast to just go away, and I've seen so many people. Jill Conrath wrote books, and she's moved into another area that she's really excited about, but new women in sales don't know who she is, and that's a shame, and I want it, and Trish Bertuzzi, and there's Linda Richardson, who started Richardson. There's some really great women that have paved the way and really blazed a trail. And in this case, I asked her remaining family member, if I could take it over, and he said absolutely, and just basically switcheroo, and I was ready to get going. And so I really
Lori,
appreciate.
I remember when you told me that you were going to do it, I was like, oh my gosh, it was such a hard time, right? Because we were all so sad about Barbara,
Yeah.
and you didn't do it right away. But
Right.
when you said it, I was like, yes, you're the perfect person. I'm so glad you're going to do it. And you have been carrying the torch since. It was 2020, but it was like in the summer, right?
Yeah, I started in August. She
Yeah.
passed in May, and then it took a couple months to regroup and get organized and get my team together.
Yeah.
And we're still going strong, and we've had some great sponsors. Right now, we have Cox Communication as our sponsor, which has been wonderful. We've really appreciated that. And we're always looking for more. So,
And it's really a great show to sponsor because you're doing double duty with your sponsorship, right? Because you're sponsoring a great podcast that the listeners are people who want to get in front of, but you're also helping to lift women up in sales, which is so important. And Laura and I talk about this all the time with groups large and small. We talk about it on LinkedIn. We talk about it whenever we're on a podcast, but sales needs to be a very inclusive place. Why not? There's no reason for it not to be. Women excel in sales, and we want them to. They can earn a great living. They become tremendous leaders. They're excellent team members. They lift the whole entire organization up. And we really have to continue to strive to do that. You get to support that too if you become a sponsor of the show.
yeah, and it's interesting because there are women that will go into sales, but they don't feel 100% comfortable. They get microaggressions, and they don't want to be in often a very male majority place where some feel their voice is not being heard. Some feel they're passed over for promotions. Some feel their ideas have been taken. And these are things that have gone on for years. And Alice, you know that because I just found a postcard that I had from 10 years ago when I spoke at Dreamforce about women in sales. And Joanne Black also spoke as well. And that was 10 years ago. It was either 2014 or 2015.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so long ago. And we're talking about the same thing. So there's a lot of it that's institutionalized. And there have been a lot of good changes too. We've seen really great companies and really great guys who have stepped forward as mentors and sponsors and allies.
It's so important. And you're right. And I love it when they show up online to really support women. It makes a difference. And I think especially right now with everything going on in the world, we can't minimize it. And a lot of times, even my own husband, like, why do we have to keep having this conversation? I go, we have to keep having this conversation until we don't have to have it anymore. But right now, we've got to have the conversation. We have to talk about women in the world. And especially for us, it's women in sales and sales leadership. And to that end, there's just, again, no reason not to, right? We
Yeah.
just do better. There's all kinds of statistics I don't have off the top of my head, but there's so many stats telling us that women perform better in sales. But of course, they're not going to if they're one of 30
Yeah.
and if they are not encouraged and lifted up and shown that they can really do it. So we just have to keep talking about it. And what a great profession. I mean, what's also funny, Lori, is like you and I both came from an education background. We were teachers first, and then we find some other women who used to be teachers who have gone into sales. And
Yeah.
it just is such a great profession because you're still helping. Everybody's like, oh, it's so different. I go, no, sales is so like teaching. It's
Yes.
much the same.
It's
You
helping.
get to help people every day.
Yeah.
You're lifting people up. You're helping people. You're guiding people. You're helping people make decisions. You're getting good solutions. You get to talk about complex problems and solve them. That's fantastic. And it is so much like teaching. And it's so rewarding for me anyway. I love it.
Yeah, and the skills that one learns as they learn selling, they can use them throughout their life, in their personal life, and they're just lifelong skills, and they're in communication and negotiation
Yeah.
and all sorts of different things.
Good listening, right? You really have to be a good listener in sales. And also, I think you really have to care. And I'm not saying that guys don't care. Of course they do. But I feel like women they really own it, right? They can walk in and really care about their customers and listen to them and just really nurture them into that place where the customer feels comfortable, they're trusting, they feel like they're being guided, and they can make a good decision.
Yeah, and women bring a different angle. There's no doubt that we bring our empathy and we bring our listening and communication skills. And I've worked with many men over my career, way more men than I have women for sure. And there have been some real gems of really great men that I've worked with that also picked up, that had some empathy, that were good listeners, that did great in communication, and some of my managers as well. And yet many women just have these great things going for them that if a company is not looking at women and they're just hiring mostly men, I feel like it's a real missed opportunity.
Yeah, they're definitely missing out, Lori.
And there's two reasons. One is because of all those great things and the fact that just if women do as well, a lot of people will say women do better, and I've heard that. I say if we do as well, why aren't teams half female, half male? Why isn't leadership half female, half male? But the other thing is that people don't always think about too, and I know this because I was a struggling single mom when I got into sales. I left a minimum wage teaching job. And being in sales was a game changer for me. It not only helped me support my family, but what women often do is we help the community. We help the people around us. I could now be on nonprofit boards, and I could support charities, and I could do other things in my community. And that's what supporting women typically does in any country around the world. And this is what a sales role does when a woman who is struggling financially, like I was, when we get into an opportunity where I can make my own salary, I can get bonuses, and I can work hard, do more. It was a game changer for me.
You can control your own destiny, I feel. And there's a lot of jobs in corporate America and otherwise that you can take, but there are so few where you really have control over what you earn, and you continue to earn more and more, right? There's just so few jobs like that. And we know that the poverty in the world, a lot of it is women, right? And so anytime we can help with that balance, it's going to make a difference. And in these corporations, anyone out there listening, who's saying, gosh, we'd love to have more women in sales. How do we get them? We're ready. We want them. How do we get them? Let's just talk about that for a minute, Lori, because that's something you've spent a lot of time doing. I know Barb was helping with that. There's many of us in the sales world that are working on it. But let's get a little bit specific for a minute. I think Barb would be proud of us to talk about how do you get more women in sales, especially if you're attracting candidates and none of them are women.
Yeah, one of the things we launched a scholarship fund with the Sales Education Foundation where we offer, they're just $1,000 scholarships, but we think that they show women that we are in business and we see them and we support what they're doing, getting an education in one of the universities. There's over 200 universities that have sales programs. I don't know if you knew that, Alice. I think you did.
I've been watching the count go up.
Right. That. Yeah.
With the Sales Education Foundation, you can look at their website, and every year they put out a report of all of the colleges and universities that are now offering either certification, a minor, there's a few majors, and there's even some advanced degrees now, master's degrees in sales. So that's phenomenal. And I love the Barb Giammanco Scholarship Fund that you started. I'm a big contributor. And
I know you are, and I appreciate that. And companies can go to these universities and find great sales talent. And what always has caught my attention is that the women excel in these programs and they compete. There are a lot of competitions around the country. You always see women winning or at the top in the finals, and then they go on to their corporate jobs. And then at some point, they're not getting tapped on the shoulder. And so they stay in their role and the men get promoted. And that's how things have worked over time. So we've been encouraging for men who are allies, as well as women who are in higher roles, like leadership roles, to let the women know that they have potential as leaders, to tap them on the shoulder or tell them you're not going to get a tap on the shoulder. You're going to have to figure this out yourself, but that you should know what the path is to promotion at our company and know what's required and know what you need to do. Because I just feel like we, as women, we just put our head down and we work really hard. We do all the extra credit. That's why we do so well in college and universities. And then we wait for that to happen in our corporate roles, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no one notices, right? And unless you tell them, and women feel like they're bragging, right? If they do that, they feel like, oh, I shouldn't brag about myself. But you have to let your peers and the people you report to know of the great things that you do. They're busy. They have lots of other things. And if you don't tell them, unfortunately, no one else will. It would be nice if someone else would.
It's not bragging if it's true.
That's right. It's not bragging if it's true. And also back to what we were saying just a minute ago about how do you find more women? Go to these universities where they are training people in sales, and you can get a peek at these students who are ready to go, and many of them will be women. But also, Lori, you and I have talked about in the past, how do you recruit women? And you've taught me something that I didn't know, which is the language in the job ad or the job description can keep women away because it's bulleted. There's so many things, and they think, oh, there's 10 things here. I only really can do 6 of them. I probably shouldn't apply. Now, this is not just true for women in sales. And I just heard this on another show recently too, where a woman was sharing that there's this confidence issue, and there's been books written about this and everything else, but women will not apply for these jobs if there are things they feel like they can't do, where if a man sees 10 things and they've got 5, they're like, oh, I'm good, I'll go apply for it, which is great. And hallelujah, good for you guys. But the women don't do it. So the way we have to tailor the language, and do you need 10 must-haves? How about 3 must-haves and the rest are, if you can also do these things, that would be great. And I think we have to think about the way that we write the ads and the job descriptions so they are friendly to females, and women want to look at those jobs and try for them. But also, can you explain this? You taught me about, you can actually take your job description and put it through like a reader, and it will tell you
Yes.
that whether it's going to attract women or not. Tell us about that.
Yeah, first of all, I would say that if you have too many bullets, that turns women off from, because it's just this massive list. For whatever reason, our brains are wired to just be like, oh, that's too much. And from what I have studied, and people disagree, some people say it's a lack of confidence. I learned that women don't want to waste people's time. Alice, if I'm not qualified for your role, I don't want to bother you and I don't want to take my
Makes sense.
time. So
Yeah,
there's
that makes
that.
sense.
So we're trying to be smart about it. And so that's part of it. Some companies will say, if you don't meet all the requirements, please reply anyway. Please apply anyway. So that's the one thing. But there are readers, there's several different ones, and we can put them in the show notes where you can put your job description and it will show you how many words are more male sounding and how many are more female sounding. And then you can adjust accordingly, but get rid of the 10,000 bullet points.
And Lori, should I say, if you want to crush your quota, you should go work for her.
Kill it. Yeah.
Hammer down. We're going to kill
That's
him.
right.
Like, women don't want to crush anyone. They don't
Yeah.
kill anyone. They're not going to put the hammer down. They're
Definite
going to, like I
term.
said before, care about people, nurture them, help them make good decisions.
Yeah, I just saw someone posting that they were like a quota crusher or something, and I just like, and they're looking for people to join whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, oh, you're turning off half of the population. Those are good points for sure. And then the other thing was that I looked through the list, and you can go to iTunes and look up Conversations with Women in Sales, or you can go on our Women Sales Pros /podcast page, and it will take you to the same point to all the podcasts episodes. We've talked about so many different topics. It's almost always been a woman on there, but not all. We've had some male allies that have joined us. Mostly they're women in sales roles and in sales leadership roles. And I would encourage, if anyone has an amazing story about how they got into sales or about their roles now, please reach out to me and you could be featured in an upcoming episode. But we've talked about people coming back, women coming back from pregnancy, time off, maternity leave, different issues, and all sorts of things. We need to start talking about menopause. We talked about that, right?
My favorite topics.
We need to add in some new topics in the coming months because they're things that people aren't talking about, and it affects women, whether you're in a sales role or some other corporate role. They're important things that we should be talking about. So please consider sharing with us your ideas, and you can do that through LinkedIn or reach me in a number of different ways. But I'd love to hear what other people want to hear for topics.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I was just thinking of one more thing that we should share about if you're trying to source women candidates.
Yeah.
There's some really great groups like Women in Revenue, Sales Sisters,
Women in Sales.
Women in Sales.
Yep.
And those groups, a lot of them have Slack groups, and they will let you join. Men or women can join as long as they're allies to men.
Yep.
And if we're supportive of women, and you can post your job right there in a female rich environment. So you're sure to get some candidates from that pool. If it's like you got to go fishing in the right pond, what fish are
Yeah.
you trying to catch? You don't know, you come ask me or Lori, and we will tell you, oh, here are some great places where you can post, and you'll be sure to get some female candidates.
And if you know of a woman in your organization that you really see some promotion potential, she's a diamond in the rough, you know that she has some leadership potential, look at Girls Club because they have cohorts that come up periodically. There's one coming up soon. And this program is amazing. It's a 6-month program. And I think the last time I heard the statistics, it was something like 70 or 75% of the women that have gone through it have gotten promotions within a number of months.
Yeah.
And really amazing that would happen. And these women get mentors, and it's a virtual program, and it's very easy for companies to sponsor. or for companies to send some of the women to. So that's another great thing. And if there are any other programs like that, I'd love to know about them. But that's the only one I know of that really has this great program with such great results happening.
Yeah, and through Women in Sales, a lot of their partners and sponsors have offered free training, like a
Yeah.
scholarship, gives
Yeah.
free training to every member of Women in Sales. So there are a lot of great resources out there. You just have to ask, and we can share any of those in the show notes as well. But there's so many organizations now that want to uplift women in sales, and together we can work better and we can all make a dent in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had so much fun going over some of these memories that I've had from earlier episodes. And I really appreciate you being here, Alice, so that I could bounce my thoughts off you. I'm really proud to be a part of this project. And I hope that we have another 200 episodes. I encourage more input from people out there that want to give us a topic that we need to talk about and tell us stories of amazing women. I know there's more out there that I haven't met yet or haven't heard of. Although you and I, we know a lot of people, Alice.
We do for sure. But yeah, it's amazing. I'm again so grateful that you continued Barb's work. And I'm so thankful to her for really starting this, because there was just nothing else like it. And here we are. And really, I don't think there's anything like it still, where we're just really focused on women in sales.
Yeah, we can do a couple of different things in this climate right now. We can just hide ourselves, or we can just stand up and help impact anything that we can. And my feeling is that I want to make a difference with the greater sales community. This is an amazing profession. I'm so proud to be a part of it, and I'd love to see it more inclusive. So anything we can do, we're going to keep doing it this year. And hopefully we'll have some really impactful episodes ahead. And I just want to thank everyone who's sponsored in the past, anyone who's listened, anyone who's given us a review, which is awesome. Thank you for that. And here's to many more episodes ahead. And same for you, Alice. Continued success on your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Congratulations on 200
Woo!
episodes. Woo!
Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much.
I'm your announcer, Larry Long Jr., and we sincerely thank you for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales, encouraging you to share an episode with all of your friends and your favorite male allies. Let's work together to change the face of sales. Until next time, you can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast.